I want to introduce our guest to Mr. Derrick Levy. He has over 12 years in the industry as a director and consultant. I'll let him tell you about the name of his company and what the acronym means. And supported is the Queen, Miss Mckensie Kahnweiler. I think I'm going to pronounce that right. And please don't smack me over the head for messing it up. I'll let you correct me. She also has 12 years of experience. And her big thing is the teaching and loving the industry and orientating people about the hospitality. She is currently the director of SESH company. And we are going to talk about the difference in cannabis, hemp. Is this the next big gold rush, or is it just up in smoke? Welcome to Talking with Kevin and Son, Miss Mckensie and Mr. Derrick. Welcome. So let me ask you the question. We know that in 1935 that Congress had a bias because they couldn't tell the difference between the marijuana plant and the hemp plant, which one grows about 3 feet tall, and the other one's 17. One has a multitude of medicinal purposes, and the other has a high content of THC, where the other has a mild case. Since you guys are the experts, and I'm not claiming to be an expert, I'm here to learn as well as our listeners. Before we dive into what you guys are doing, can you educate people, our listeners, to the business of cannabis versus hemp? And is this the next new gold rush, or is it just up in smoke?
Sure. So I think there's a lot of pieces in there. Happy to be here. Thank you for having us on. For us, one of the big things that we talk about is just cannabis in itself. It's an ever evolving industry. Being in it for 12 years, we've definitely seen a lot of new things come to light that we didn't know before. So I say that to preface, we all want to be experts in this field, but as we know, as things evolve, we learn different things. But to get into your question, the biggest thing with us being in the cannabis industry versus seeing hemp is essentially, what you talked about. THC, cannabis-derived plants typically are going to be higher in THC. However, a lot of people don't know that there are CBD-derived plants that also can come from a cannabis plant that are going to be high in CBD and not that high in THC. Hemp actually pulls toxins out of the ground. So we always caution a lot of people to say, when you're looking at these over-the-counter hemp products, which typically are going to have, not typically, they have to have less than 1% THC to be derived as a hemp plant. And with that, what we've learned is the medicinal benefits that you get when applied with THC actually work better than when you have CBD just on its own. So a lot of times when we're looking at hemp, because it is missing that key THC component, we call it kind of the entourage effect. With THC, CBD actually is more effective. And so we actually encourage people, if you are looking for CBD, that you do look in a cannabis plant that has a high CBD content, and to not get too deep into it. The more CBD you have, the less THC is active. So you'll hear different ratios, you'll hear different things that come in. People say 20 to 1, 20 parts CBD, 1 part THC. All that means is there's 20 parts of CBD on top of that 1 part of THC. You're not going to get high from that. There's not going to be any psychoactive effects. When you're looking at hemp, because it's always going to fall in this high category as far as low to no THC, you're still not going to have the psychoactive effects, but that CBD is just not going to be as effective as you normally would. So the over-the-counter CBD that you see that is sold, a lot of it is sourced from the United States, and that is for a reason. Again, just to mention, hemp pulls toxins out of the ground. So if it's not regulated, if the soil is not clean, you essentially could be, ingesting poison that is in the ground. And so a lot of times we like to look at the different markets that are out there. California is a heavily regulated industry. Colorado is a heavily regulated, Nebraska. So we just caution everybody to actually understand where that hemp is being processed. And once you find that out and know it is reputable, while it does have its effects, having that THC, which is that key component, is obviously the biggest difference. And for us, it's what makes one more effective than the other.
And I'm glad you brought that up. I did do a little bit of my homework. And like I said, I have a little information. When you talked about that hemp or THC and the derivative of that, just for my listeners to know, most nuclear power plants plant a version of hemp around in order to pull the toxins from the soil into the plant, the same way that cannabinoids have a positive effect on the system. And research, depends on who you talk to, will tell you all the potential benefits to that. When you talk about chronic pain, when you talk about people that are going through chemo, it helps reduce nausea, vomiting, and seizures. And even I know a handful of people that have multiple sclerosis that are using medicinal or medical marijuana in order to combat the disease itself. So now that we have a brief understanding, and hopefully our listeners are listening, because I want to talk about the business, the conversation on the streets, at least in my social circle, they talk about marijuana and CBD are the new gold rush. They're talking about the next 10 years, there's going to be more millionaires, more successful business coming out of this. And you guys have a very interesting approach in what you're doing. So if you can kind of enlighten us to what the acronym SESH, the name of your company, how your company exists, and tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah, so I'll start it off and then I'll kick it over to Mckensie. So SESH, Social Equality Smokehouse, was an idea that myself, Mckensie, and our two partners, Ryan McBride and Teresa Schiller, came up with. And essentially, we wanted to be able to have a platform to provide cannabis businesses with the resources that we deem, would be essential for the business to be successful. So when you're looking at SESH, we're broken down into 4 parts. We have a consulting, a training, events, and then a mobile VIP lounge, which we can dive into each one. Myself, I'm the director of consulting. Again, being in the industry for 12 years, understand all the ins and outs. We like to say we're turnkey consulting. Whether you just got a license, you have no idea what you're doing, and you just need guidance on getting going, whether you have a license, but you need to start the process of actually opening a store, or, worst case, you have a store that has not been performing and you need somebody to come in, analyze the business, and provide resources in order to get your business going. That's something that we do and take pride in. There's really nothing. We have a saying, we like to say, from seed to smoke, we know pretty much everything in between. So from putting it into the ground, from actually putting it in your customers or patients' hands, depending on where you're at, essentially we can cover all of that. The big thing I think that is worth mentioning is SESH is very much focused on providing social equity applicants with these resources. And so as we advertise our different resources and different things we provide, if you are a social equity applicant or just a minority-owned business, we do provide these same services at a discounted rate. And depending on the situation, we that is all negotiable. But our idea here is obviously to take care of these social equity applicants that we are seeing entering the space. So that's the consulting side. I'll kick it over to Mckensie, who's our director of training, and she can explain that portion of it.
All right.
Yes. Thanks, Derrick. So, and thank you, Kevin. Very happy to be here with you guys today. So as a director of training, as Derrick explained with the consulting part, is we really want to be able to build that community and bridge those gaps between the social equity groups and the large MSOs, multi-state operators, by providing everything that we've lived through and dealt with in the cannabis industry on our end, and be able to really educate that with our trainings. And I think our trainings have a very unique approach because of that. We both have spent hundreds and hundreds of hours inside dispensaries. Derrick, thousands and thousands with his 12 plus years, and me hundreds with my 3 years managing and opening dispensaries. And so we have very unique approaches where we know how to do everything within the dispensary. We also know how to connect with our customers, and we're very well known for building a great culture out of our team. And something about cannabis is there's very, very special team members that work in these retail locations that you wouldn't necessarily have in other locations, as far as people who need a lot of emotional support, or this may be the first job where they ever feel like they fit in. And so really our training approach is showing and cultivating that sense of community and sense of belonging. And as he said, we know everything from seed to smoke. So we have a handful of trainings already written, but we're able to really write and then facilitate any of those trainings as well. Anything from sales and service to cannabis education to a robust leadership training.
All right, let me ask you a question. I'm going to ask both of you to slow down, because a lot of times that people are driving by listening to this. Your mission statement. Can you just share your why you're doing this? There's dispensaries popping up everywhere, and everyone's are in line paying humongous fees in order to be on the waiting list to become part of that. And I know your mission statement basically some supports an area of the consciousness that allows opportunity there. Can you go ahead and share that with our listeners?
So our mission. Go ahead, Mckensie.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, so we want to foster a passion for cannabis through services, trainings, and events. Our mission is to build a community through cannabis-powered services. We challenge the status quo by creating equal opportunities for businesses of all sizes to succeed in the cannabis community. And so with that mission, we really like to capture this idea of we are building a community. This is something that we see, the potential to being able to change a lot of people's lives, especially those that are stepping into this for the first time, that may be coming through the social equity platform. And again, just don't necessarily know what is necessary to succeed. And so our mission is essentially that, to help those succeed. And while we do focus on the social equity applicants, our mission is to create a community, whether you're a multi-state operator, MSO, or just a small guy, but we want to be able to bridge and connect those people as well through our services and through what we offer.
As one of the little guys, COVID has changed the channel for a lot of people on how we look at our current employer and other opportunities and franchises and starting your home-based business. The word entrepreneur has skyrocketed. Walk me through the process of how do I get started? I'm not rich. I've been working for the last 30 years for someone else's dream, and now I'm reaching out to you guys. How do I get in touch with you, and what's the conversation or the questions I should be asking you guys in order to move forward or get started in this?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. So, you can find all of our information at seshcity.com, SESH, city, CITY.com. There we outline, obviously, all of our services. We have a contact page. So if you need more information and want to enter your information at our website, one of us will follow up with you. But, as far as getting started and what it looks like, it really is going to vary from market to market. I think the first thing is to identify if you are somebody who can apply for the social equity license. You'll have to find out in your state what that entails. For instance, in Illinois, you have to live in an area, you have to have lived in an area that has been disproportionately affected by the war on drugs, and that carries a certain threshold as far as the poverty line and employment in that area. If you do happen to fall under that, then you would then start your application process. Kevin, I think the big thing is it's not cheap. There's a lot of these things that they put out in front of people right now. Just to get your cultivation license, you're going to be paying upwards to $5,000 to $10,000 in licensing fees, in application fees, all of which is non-refundable. So what we are seeing is a lot of people are fundraising, whether it's, getting a bunch of partners together, a bunch of friends, family members who can raise the money. But I always caution everybody to say, this, you could very well not get chosen, and you could very well lose that money. So while, the dream is there and we want to continue to build that, it is still a little bit tougher for those, just like ourselves, who have been struggling to try and make it to get there. Now, there are a lot of multi-state operators that have different programs where they allow you as a social equity applicant to apply for a grant. And so, again, you'll want to check kind of your local kind of MSOs, the people that are operating within your state, to see if they have any sort of program that is like this. And if so, that's the easy way to get the funding to begin that process. But essentially, from a consulting stand base, I break it down into three parts. You have your first, which is like introductory. I need to apply for a license. I meet all the qualifications, but now I need to actually put together this application. That's kind of the first side of it. The second one would be, I have this application. It's already been submitted. I've been approved. Now, what am I going to do for next steps? And so, it's hard to outline what that looks like state by state because it is so different. But that is the first step that you need to take in order to get to a point where you can begin the process of actually applying and therefore obtaining a license.
Now, transparency. All right. We know that it's no surprise I'm Black. We also know that depending on where my zip code lies, there's certain biases and opportunities are limited or restricted based on who people perceive me to be, not necessarily who I actually am. Are there places in this country that are more open and acceptable where opportunities prevail to minority businesses, or are there states where the biases and opportunities, there's roadblocks preventing someone such as myself to take advantage of this opportunity when we talk about the cannabis industry and the financial upside on this? And because I'm outside of Philadelphia and I have no idea if this is okay or whatever. I know Colorado and Illinois is a big plus. Can you give us some idea, because we stream on a global basis, of where these opportunities are open and what are the challenges in other areas?
Yeah, so I think, go ahead, Mckensie.
Well, I'll start and then I'll hand it over to Derrick. I think to answer your question is, yes, it is definitely harder or easier in each state. I think that as states are looking at other states, how they've done it wrong, they're trying to do it right. For example, New York right now announced that they aren't going to be rewarding any licenses to anyone who's not social equity for 3 years. So we're definitely seeing it turn in the right direction, but it's not completely there yet. And I'll let Derrick finish.
What is social equity for our listeners? Explain that to me.
So essentially, these markets have come up with, a way to basically address this disproportionately, affected community on the war on drugs. So a lot of it is the Black and brown community. And what they've done is they said, okay, we've seen, a lot of these millionaires, people that have already, obviously been successful and essentially at times shunned cannabis in itself, now able to, reap the rewards because they have enough money in order to put their name in the hat. So what they've come up with in a lot of different states is this social equity program, which says, okay, out of a application, you can score 100 on. Now, if you're coming in as a social equity applicant, now on that application, you could score 120. And it gives you that extra 20 points that other people wouldn't have. The goal of this social equity was to allow, this community that has been affected, primarily the Black and brown community, an opportunity to have a chance to land an actual license. But to mimic or to echo, Mckenzie's point, we've seen, i.e., Illinois, it is no secret that their social equity program rollout has been, not great, to say the least. And what has happened is we've had a lot of people who spent a lot of time and paid a lot of money to get applications put in just for them not to be selected and for it to essentially, go with some of the bigger MSOs, regardless of them rolling out this program. But when you're looking at a place like New York, and because they're only pulling social equity applicants, you have a higher chance in New York of actually landing that license and actually being set up so that you could succeed. Now, state by state, as more states come on, we're going to see this, continue to evolve. Pennsylvania's just started talking about it. I know it's something that is definitely being talked about really high right now as far as with the lawmakers. And I could see that PA would probably follow something similar to the New York, New Jersey model, essentially, allowing these social equity applicants a better chance. But to answer your question, we have yet to see a state that is, set up any funds or any sort of grants specifically for people that are stepping into this. All the locations where you are applying is going to require you to put some money down, in the thousands, and you could very well lose that. Now, if you go to Oklahoma, you can apply for a license right now, for pretty cheap. But you'll also see that there's thousands of people who have licenses now in Oklahoma. So this opportunity to be successful obviously diminishes when you have, thousands of people that you're competing with, maybe hundreds within your own city limits that all have licenses. So while it's there in theory, I think we got a long way to go before we can identify, which state would be easier or harder to get into, because in my opinion, they're all hard to get into right now, and require a lot of legwork.
It's surprising, and it doesn't surprise me. It's like, if you look back to the history of voting, how they came up with a test in order for you to have the right to vote, like counting how many bubbles are in a bar of soap, in order to register to vote. I can't believe the biases still exist, especially when opportunity prevails for people that are trying to have hope, and we're trying to combat the violence and depression and depression in our communities. Going through your company, what are the upsides, the plus sides of someone approaching you, and does it diminish the risk, or does it increase the risk, or someone going through you at the same risk if they were to do it on your own? What's the benefits?
Yeah, I think it highlights the risk, right? I think that's what we're here for. We're here to make sure that nobody has any surprises as they come into this. We had a conversation with a gentleman who, originally was coming in because he wanted to build a grow, and he had these huge plans on what the grow would look like. And as we started to talk about what that overhead would look like, some of the expenses that you would have to take on before you would even be able to put anything in the ground, was slowly realized that maybe the cultivation side wasn't for him, and that he was looking more for a retail kind of location in the store. So I think first and foremost, you're going to get the whole picture with us. We're very, very transparent as far as what you'll be facing and what you'll be seeing, but also we have a good understanding of what will be needed in order to succeed if you are starting that application process. So, a lot of what we do is again, experience-based, and it just gives people a platform to be able to vocalize and ask the right questions, that we can then put them, in a spot to succeed.
Now, Mckensie, I'm going to ask you a question, since you are the director of training. Use myself as an example, use my listeners as your potential customer. How do we get in touch with you, and what are the steps? And in the event that I am approved, what's the training like going through your company?
So we really believe, our main training is called the Platinum Approach. And honestly, it's because we feel it's important to treat all of our clients how they want to be treated, right? And every client's going to be different and have different needs. And so I can provide the unique experience of having managed and trained over 20,000 people in my career and able to facilitate it, as well as hands-on training. And so that's why consulting and training do go hand in hand, dependent on it. Because if you just recently got your license, right, and you need help from everything from finding the location to implementing the systems to training the staff, we can take you through all of that. And the benefit they have by using us is that we've been through it. We're not training anybody to do anything that we haven't done. And training is everything from cannabis education to how to use the POS system to compliance in each of your states. And cannabis is just so multifaceted that we're able to provide every single level of that to the team, so they can give the best customer service as well as have their store be the best prepared for whatever they may need. Also, I may as well mention that both Derrick and I have seen the transition of medical dispensaries into adult use, and have worked through those transitions, as far as one day you have 100 medical patients in your dispensary, the next day it's adult use and there's 1,000. And what does that look like? And what does that do to your business, your customer service, your efficiencies? So we're really able to come in, evaluate that, and get everybody prepared and ready for it. If they're already existing. And if it's a new dispensary, then we're able to come in, do the market research, understand all the products, who they're up against, can give them anything from, consulting on building their menu, how to set up their buying, how to set up their inspections, all of that stuff, which is all different elements of dispensaries. And, I have people talk to me all the time when I first started in the industry, and they'll call me up and say, hey, I want to get a dispensary. And you start talking them through it, and they're asking about cost and this and that. And people really want to compare it to a restaurant, or how much it would cost to, build something like that. And we know from experience that due to safety, compliance, stuff like that, it is going to be more expensive. And there's things that people oversee that need to be there, as far as loading docks and how deliveries happen, and all these little incremental things that we've seen happen before. That people just might not have their eyes on or be aware of.
And then, Mckensie, you want to talk through the what we're facilitating right now, what they can find as well?
Yeah, so currently we actually have launched education with Vangst, they're spelled VANGST, and they are a cannabis recruiting company, and we are co-launching education with them. So currently we have an introductory training called So You Think You Want to Be in Retail Cannabis, and really we walk you through the roles and positions within a dispensary, as well as some cannabis knowledge, and then getting you ready for your interview. Our next training is going to go a little bit more in depth as far as Cannabis 102, and then also talk about everything that goes into a dispensary, ancillary-wise, technology-wise, things like that, because there's so many job opportunities that people aren't even aware of, and how big the industry is. So we're really teaching about the industry in these particular trainings.
Now, is this training coming at a cost? Is it limited to social economics, demographics, or is it available strictly online to everyone?
It is available strictly online to everybody. You can register at Vangst.com and go on their LinkedIn page at Vangst, or go to Vangst.com, and you'll be able to take our training class. And although we focus on social equity groups, our whole entire mission is to build that sense of community around everybody. So we'll work with anybody who wants to work with us. We just have a focus on those social equity groups, but we're open for all to use our services.
That's good to know. And can you spell out the website link in order to register for that for our guests that are kind of multitasking right now?
Yes. So it's going to be Vangst.com, VANGST.com, or the easiest way to take the class is to go to LinkedIn and look up Vangst, VANGST, and it is sitting right on their homepage. They have a very easy link that you can click to sign up for the class. And this particular class is $99, and it's 3.5 hours. And it's very fun and interactive.
And how do people get in touch with you and Derrick?
They can email us directly at Mckensie, McKensie, @seshcity.com, or Derrick, DERRICK, @seshcity.com.
All right. So there's another conversation I want to have. You guys, and I've seen some images of it, a beautiful bus. And Derrick, and we've had a conversation of another layer to this business. Can you tell us about this bus and where it's going, and how you're going to grow? Are you open to looking for investors? What are the opportunities, the other layers of opportunities with your company?
Yeah, so we're really excited about our mobile VIP lounge. You know, it's kind of twofold. So we do have events that we are able to plan, you know, from start to bottom. Essentially, we've partnered with different venues who are cannabis-friendly venues, and so we focus on companies that are trying to have a consumption-friendly or cannabis-friendly event. And therefore, you know, we have identified the different venues that would allow us to facilitate that. With that, we launched our mobile VIP lounge, which is a recreational vehicle, which we are able to pull up into a private parking lot and essentially serve as that extra VIP lounge for any venue that we'll be at. It's a 40-foot bus. It has 27 seats in it. It's very spacious and spread out, refrigerators, music, TV. So we are able to really park anywhere. I think our biggest kind of clientele that we're seeing approaching us has been obviously cannabis companies that are looking for a place for their company parties, if you will, but also weddings. We are seeing an uptick in cannabis consumption type weddings. We can set up a cannabis bar. We have the ability really to do a lot of different things, but whether it's you know, a private company event, a wedding, you know, you name it, this mobile VIP lounge can be pulled up to any location and essentially serve as that extra layer for the party, if you will. So again, we've partnered with venues who already would allow our bus to be on their property. But if you're somebody that says, hey, I have a property already, I'm just looking, you know, for this mobile VIP lounge, you can reach out to us and we can schedule it to be there as well. I think it is worth noting that this is only Chicago right now. We're hoping to obviously venture out to the other markets as they go adult use. But, you know, from an investment side, we are 100% self-invested, which we are proud of. But we are looking now to start that conversation specifically with people that are in these markets that have gone adult use, that are looking for, you know, an opportunity to come in. We do have some proprietary information as far as like how we actually handle the buses, managing the buses. Our big thing is the experience that we create, you know, through our buses. So if you do become an investor, you know, we obviously unlock that proprietary information and essentially make you a partner for that particular bus. You know, as far as the actual terms, you know, that is obviously going to be negotiable as we work through it. But, you know, we are definitely encouraging people to reach out if they think there's opportunities that's there. And again, on our website, we outline in detail everything that's there. You can see the bus, but we are very, very proud of it. And it's something that, you know, we are looking to expand through multiple states. Hopefully we'll be in New Jersey next. That's our big push as they go adult use as well.
All right. And the reason why I brought that up, because one, I've seen pictures. It's a beautiful bus.
Thank you.
And, you know, I always worry about, you know, especially with us being people of color, the biases and the legalities. And again, want to make sure that, you know, it has to be, and correct me if I'm wrong, on private property.
Correct.
In Chicago. So it's not like you can rent the bus and go to Chicago Stadium and party on and get your party on before you get to the game. Am I correct, Derrick?
You're very correct. You know, we tell people we are not a party bus. There's no similarities to it at all. We do not transport people, you know, throughout the city. This is a parking mobile VIP lounge that we essentially can move around, but it stays where it is, and it does have to be on private property. So you're spot on with that.
What about age? Age to get in?
Yeah,
get out.
21 and up. Yeah. No kids. You know, we've had some people approach us like, well, if I bring no kids at all are allowed. Again, this would be a private event. There will be wristbands and IDs. We're very strict as far as who we allow on the bus. You do have to be with the party. But again, you know, the details of it all, we're happy to discuss if there are some potentials. We do offer the bus at $2,500 a day. Or we do have some hourly rates that are available as well with a 3-hour minimum that we also have as well. So we're flexible and we'll work with a lot of people. I guess Mckensie could also speak to it, but it's also a good place if you needed to do trainings or intros. Our bus can pull up to whatever location that may be, and you can hold trainings right there on our bus as well. So a lot of different features and designs that we can work with. But definitely we're really excited about it. And again, you can check us out at seshcity.com. That's where that will be. Or SESH City Unlimited is our tags for our social.
All right.
Yes. And as far as the mobile VIP lounge goes, crap, I just totally lost my train of thought. Well, I forgot, so never mind.
That's okay. Well, let me ask this, and maybe it'll pop up, and I'm open to it because we're going to wrap up soon. To our listeners, okay, understanding, people have biases. We live in a cancel culture. We can't burp in public without losing friends. We can't have an opinion about losing friends. And sure, this is a subject that it comes along with its own biases. But I personally look at it as an opportunity. And the fact that you guys are supplying the education in front, to get in this business. We also know that anytime you start a business, you got to have an investment. So there's no risk, there's no reward. What do you want our listeners to take away from this?
I'll defer to Mckensie. I'll let you kick it, Mckensie.
I would say overall, I think that follow your dreams, but your dreams can also be hard. It's a lot of hard work and a lot of constant wheels spinning. I think for us is we know there's lots of biases out there against cannabis, against lots of different things that come with the cannabis community. And I think what I would say is there's room for everybody. There's room for love in all different types of aspects. And I think that, our passion is cannabis and we want to build community, but we want to make everybody always feel welcome. And we know that our services are unique as opposed to what other ones are out there. As far as the education portion, the consulting portion, and then you have the business side and you have the fun side. But what's also important to know is that they are all connected, because as Derrick mentioned, you can use the mobile VIP lounge for education. We're talking to some cannabis companies now that are launching new brands, and so they can have the bus park outside a dispensary and bud tenders can come on and educate. And so I think all elements are important within SESH.
Yeah, and I think I just second that to say, we are definitely challenging the status quo every day, to sound cliche, but we definitely feel that the future is cannabis. And as much as it's been, looked down upon, we are starting to see some light on the other end of the tunnel as this has now become profitable, as we always see. And, we have to undo, a lot of bad information that's been out there, from the beginning when they outlawed cannabis to begin with. We understand it's an uphill battle, but creating this community, creating the education, providing the safe places, safe spots for people to be able to enjoy cannabis and to be in an environment where everybody around them is like-minded, is something that we want to push forward and something that we really believe in. So if anything, we want to take from this that, anything is possible, and we can power people through cannabis education and through training, and set up people for success. And that's our goal, is to have a community that sets up everybody for success. And, future state, we would love to have a standalone building where this social equality smokehouse will all come together. That's kind of the primary reason why we came to the name. So more to come from that, but our goal will be to provide, a state-of-the-art training facility that will, again, encourage and allow people to be in a safe place and have somewhere that they can go to find that like-minded community that we push.
Well, I think you got to my next question a lot sooner than I did, but I'm going to put it out there anyway, because I do this with each and every last one of my guests. I always ask what your ask, ASK, is. If you had one ultimate dream to come true. And the reason why I ask that, because the people that follow RMK Productions and the podcast network and follow us on our YouTube page have a higher call to action than most people that listen to podcasts, meaning that we don't drive by accidents. Our listeners are the type of people that stop and get involved. We've had people give endowments to authors for education. We've had film directors provide an opportunity for a young man that was seeking lights, camera, and action. And the story goes on and on. So I'm going to ask either you, Mckensie, or both of you, what is your ask? ASAK, your one dream.
Mckensie, you got it.
I got it.
You got it.
Come on, we know I'm long-winded. Just one. Honestly, I mean, I think first and foremost, we want to be able to continue doing what we love and be able to spread the love. And with that comes more business, people using us for any of our services. So I guess that would be the number one ask is let us show you how we can make a difference for between any of our services. And as far as let us teach and allow this industry to grow and continue to fight against that status quo and showing, hey, we're here to stay. And yeah, I think it is going to continue being a gold rush, but I think the people who are going to continue to win are the people who have that passion and love for the plant and are able to move forward with it.
You want to add on to that, Mr. Derrick?
I would just say, it's a funny question because we have the same deal, right? We like to ask, like, what can we do in order to make somebody successful? And I think, just to echo, we really would like SESH to be that first point of reference, right? You need a license, SESH. You need to put together an event that's a cannabis-friendly event. SESH is the answer. You need training, SESH. And so I think everybody listening, if they were to ask, like, what do we want? We just want them to spread the word, tell a friend, let people know that there is resources out there that will help them, and in turn, drive those people to us, and allow us to allow others to be successful. I think the more people that we can talk to and start this process with, the more people that will be successful. So the best thing you could do for us is to spread the word and let people know that we exist. SESHcity.com, send them to the website. And at the very least, if you're curious and just want to know, hey, what can I do? Where's my part? How can I fit in? How can I train? Whatever it is, go to that, put in your information. Let's have a conversation. We like to have that initial conversation to see where we're at. We do have brand ambassadors that we do have that are getting referral fees for booking different events, different buses and things like that. So we do have a program set up that if you do want to be a SESH brand ambassador, we can give you the tools to be able to go out and promote this and essentially make money on it as we are able to get bookings as well. So we just want to build our community. And I think the biggest ask for us would just be for everybody to join that community. The easiest way to do it is just to go to SESHcity.com, plug in your information, and at least start that conversation so we can continue to build and grow together. No pun intended.
Well, to my listeners, let me tell you, hopefully you've learned a little bit more than you thought you knew. Hopefully you have opened the door to where your bias or your prejudice, however, I think they're one and the same. You understand a little bit more the difference between the marijuana plant and cannabis, and understand that opportunity should be available to everyone. I know this is going to be the next gold rush, and my guests, both Mckensie and Derrick, have echoed that. I personally feel that the opportunity is there. I think right now the people that are taking advantage of it are people that are already in a position where opportunity is prevalent. But in order to overcome and create hope, people have to have access to opportunity. So I'm going to say to my loyal fans, I want to thank you, and I hope that you've taken something positive away from this episode and understand that opportunity is there. And remember, education is not designed to make you comfortable, it's designed to make you think. So please subscribe to our YouTube page, RMK Productions and Network. Follow us. Or if you need more information, go to info@rmkproductions.net. And adapt this hashtag, and it's a little long. Find 1,000 reasons to be kind to someone. As my grandfather always said, when you get to a point in your life or a place that you can help someone else, it is your duty to do so. Reach one, teach one. And this is the conclusion of talking with Kevin and son, and minus our son today. He had to put his dog down, so it's the reason why he's not with us. So our hearts go out to him and Madison and the love pup. And we'll fade to black, and we're out. Thank you.